What's going on, everybody? The Eagles OTAs start on Monday, so I'm here to talk about one of the more intriguing positions on the team, in my opinion, and that's the running back position, a position that the Eagles haven't really put a ton of value in the last few years. If you look at the guys in their current roster, Donnell Pumphrey, 4th-round pick. Last year, LeGarrette Blount, 1-year, cheap veteran deal. Ajayi, they traded a 4th-round pick for, and Corey Clement, undrafted. So it's a position where they haven't been really willing to put in a ton of resources. But it's also a very important position. Last year, the Eagles were 6th in the NFL in rushing attempts per game, just under 29 per game. And we all saw in the playoffs how this running game, in the Super Bowl, not so much, but in the playoffs, the running game really helped this team, especially late on when they were trying to integrate Nick Foles into the offense. So the running game is an important part of Doug Peterson's offense. It's important he gets it going for his RPOs, all that type of stuff. So it's an important part, but the question is, what are the Eagles going to do next year at running back? So LeGarrette Blount is now in Detroit. I would have liked to see them bring him back, but financially, I guess it just didn't make sense. So what are the Eagles going to do? Well, you have Ajayi and you have Corey Clement. They're going to be the top 2 running backs. Short of the Eagles taking a guy at 32, and we'll talk about that in a second, I think Corey Clement and Ajayi are going to be your top 2 guys. I think you'll see a really big increased role for Corey Clement. I think he is going to be this team's top back in terms of pass targets, potentially in terms of carries. I really think they're going to lean on Corey Clement a lot to be a big part of this offense. Ajayi entering the contract year. I'm not as sure that they're going to feature him. I think he'll have an increased role from last year, but I still think they view Corey Clement as the future at this position. There's also the Darren Sproles factor. I'm not 100% sure he will be on the team. Doug Peterson has said that he wants him back, and they almost talk about him like he's already on the team. But he's coming off a major knee injury, and so that'll be a little skeptical in my opinion. But if you think of the Eagles of having 4 running back spots on the roster, you have Clement, you have Ajayi. Let's just give one to Sproles for now. That leaves a 4th one, and I think they're going to address that in the draft. So the question all Eagles fans have is, will they draft LSU's running back Derrius Guice? And that's tough to say. Look, last year when they drafted Derek Barnett, when you go back and look, they spent a ton of time with Barnett. When they drafted Wentz, they spent a ton of time with Wentz. So the Eagles have never been shy. They've never been a big smokescreen team. When they're showing interest in a guy and that gets reported out, generally that means they're extremely interested. So this week it came out that they are in LSU visiting with Guice and working him out, and then they're bringing him to Philly. So they're using one of his top 30 visits. They're using one of their top 30 visits on him, and he's a guy that might not be there at 32, but even if he is, he's not going to be there far into the 2nd round. A lot of personnel guys really like him. Someone on NJ.com said that they thought Guice was the best pure running back in the NFL. Now, that's not taking into account, blocking and receiving and all that, but just as a runner, they thought Guice was the best. So Guice is obviously, very highly thought of. And the Eagles, even though their current roster, they haven't shown that they're willing to invest a ton of resources into running back. They did consider Dalvin Cook at 43 last year with their 2nd-round pick. So 2 years ago or 3 years ago now, I guess, they signed DeMarco Murray to that big deal. I know that was the Chip Kelly regime, but Howie Roseman was still kind of working on contracts then. So I think for the right guy, they would be willing to pay a little more to invest that resource. So they're going to need an extra running back. They're going to have the 3, but no real dominant guys. Ajayi probably not back in 2019. Darren Sproles probably not back in 2019. Corey Clement, who is very good in my opinion, is the only real running back this team can build around right now. So I do think it is a position of need. The question is, will they use number 32 overall on a running back? Or if they trade back, will Guice be there? So the running back position as OTAs starts is extremely compelling and interesting. We didn't even talk about Wendell Smallwood, a guy that Doug Peterson still talks very highly of. So running back is always a position fans love to watch in training camp. It's always a position that's exciting to watch in the preseason. And next year there's going to be a ton of competition at it. And I think it's one of the more intriguing roster spots heading into training camp and OTAs.